will? Yeah.
All right, so where do we get to on controlling these circumstances, controlling the classes? This is, what we're talking about now is the extremely practical aspects. Setting up the mats, temperature of the room, lighting, which, by the way, how is our lighting here?
It sucks.
Okay, well, can you turn that off?
I will.
All right, so we got to chanting, we got to silence, language of meditation. Today we're going to go over the language of meditation part of the teacher training. More metaphor, using useful metaphors, some useful metaphors like let your chest expand, open and out, opening your heart like a lotus flower blossoming towards the sun. Spread all 5 fingers apart and flatten the palms of your hands like a starfish nestling into the sand. Then laterally, side to side, like a palm tree swaying in the breeze. Ground down and root your legs through the earth so you feel solid as a mountain. The untrained mind is like a monkey swinging from tree to tree. Do you guys like using metaphors?
Yes.
It's difficult. Do you know how to do it? It's harder than it seems.
As a writer, it's easier.
As a writer, it's easier. So if you have some talent or ability to use a metaphor, students really love that. And it gives you a different, when you're in a pose and somebody says, flatten your hands like a starfish, it tells you something about this by using that image. It's very good, metaphors. I'm not great at using metaphors, but some people are, and it's good, really poetic. People like metaphors a lot. Okay, now symbolism. Symbolism slightly different from metaphors. So what does the asana or category of asana symbolize? What is the relationship of the asana to the invisible effect? What's the symbolic effect? Knowledge of the chakras helps in this. And relationship of mass to energy, physical to spiritual. So back bending, going like this. What does this symbolize? Opening your heart, definitely. I think that's a great one. All back bends are heart openers. So what are the symbols of the heart? What are the words that we use to describe the attributes of the heart then? Huh? Love, unconditional love, forgiveness, gratitude, thankfulness, generosity, right? Those are the attributes of the heart. So if somebody's in a back bend, you could say, okay, we're going to come into a back bend, tuck the front ribs, hold your stomach muscles firm, and then lean back and
be generous with your heart.
Be generous with your heart. Open your heart. I like that. Be generous with your heart is a great one because it uses the word generous with the heart. Be generous with your heart. That's exactly how you use symbolism.
Unconditional love.
Unconditional love. Open to unconditional love. And lean back and open to unconditional love. Or open to be generous with your heart. I like that. So it'll take you a while to start to make those connections, but you will. You will. What does forward bending symbolize? Surrendering. Head down below the heart. If your head is below your heart, what does the head symbolize? What does this symbolize?
Inferior.
What? It's inferior too, but don't think about that anymore. Just think about what does this symbolize? If I say your head,
Your mind,
and what are the other words for the mind and the head? Huh?
Your thoughts.
Thoughts, intellect, thinking mind, figuring stuff out. So if you put your head down below your heart, what's the symbolism there?
You're putting your heart before your.
You're putting the attributes of the heart on
For your
prioritizing or ahead or on top of intellectually figuring something out. See that? See how the shape of something and knowing what they can symbolize. You can make some connections. Students love that. Love it. It really, and when you're in a pose, you can really hear it. You're like, yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. So forward bending is also, if this is the heart, right here, and I forward bend like this, what am I doing in relationship to my heart?
bowing it down to yourself.
But say, serenity, but say there was some kind of a threat or attack that was coming at my heart. I'm protecting my heart, so it's safe. It's nurturing. It's safe. It's nurturing. So forward bend. Look at this big armor, armor-plated wall. Look at this back. See this big back is protecting the heart. So forward bends are to feel safe, to feel calm, to feel peaceful. Your heart is protected. There's no threat to your love, stuff like that. If you're doing some front core strengthening exercises, navasana or crunches or bicycle crunches, knowing the chakras, what would that symbolize? Solar plexus, but that's the area. What is power? Fire, exactly. Fire up your practice, fire up your energy, fire up your power for what? What's the third chakra do for you? Action. Keep trying. Willpower, yes. Fire up your willpower. Grounding is the first chakra. Guts. Transformation, manifestation. Transformation, manifestation comes from the third chakra. So when you're having the people in the crunches, you can say, fire up your willpower to manifest whatever you dream in this world. Whatever your heart's desire is, this is where the action, the fire, to see it through, the guts, the courage. Come on in, Anna, that's okay. The Manipuraka, yeah, the Manipurna, yeah. So, see how symbolism plays with the chakras? So the exercise that they're doing, think of it in terms of which chakra it's symbolizing and what it means, and then you can come up with some symbolic inspirational words or connections for the people.
So wait, the forward fold like this that you were talking about, that would be heart too?
It protects your heart.
That would be heart chakra based?
Yeah, it makes it, you're safe. This is safe. Like, is this safe?
No.
This is excitement. This is opening to the unknown. The front, remember, the front is the future. The back is the past, symbolically speaking.
Okay.
So if I open to the future, is it safe to open to the future, or is it kind of scary?
Scary.
Yeah, it's kind of scary to open your heart to the future. But that's what backbending is. Now, bending here, this is basically stretching your back. So the past is no longer a threat to you.
No, but
really.
what I'm saying is, it still would be heart chakra basically, because you want to put your words around what chakra you're doing.
Yeah.
Each pose.
Not totally literally. There's a big margin for error with this stuff. People go like this all the time and go, open your heart. They do that. Because remember, you do have the back part of the chakra.
Yeah.
Technically, you're opening the back of the chakra. But generally, forward bending, like if you're an animal, if you're a dog, their heart is underneath. It's protected. It's just natural because they're on four legs. But if they surrender, they kind of open their throat and their heart and go like that, right?
Yeah.
So think of it like that. That's surrendering to the future.
Being pet.
Huh? They don't need to rub their tongue.
My son's like that every time he hears a loud noise, he's like, and he just pretends like he already died. Like they drop something, he's like,
That's hilarious.
so weird.
But this is like vulnerable. This is also the internal organs. Like if you're gonna, have some threat to your organs, like somebody was attacking you. If somebody's coming at you with a knife, you're not gonna go, okay, let's fight. You're gonna, and turn your back even, you're gonna protect the front of your body. So this is very vulnerable. So back bending is opening to vulnerability, opening to the future, trusting the future, trusting that you can love in the future, trusting that love is what's going to, carry you through in the future. That's what back bending is all about. Forward bending is about, I guess you could say forgiving the past in a certain way because it's about the back, but it's just, it's calming, it's safe, it's nurturing. You're protected. You're safe. You're protected. Yes, sir.
Virasana is opening also your heart.
Shavasana,
Virasana.
Virasana,
Sit with your butt between,
Virasana.
yeah, butt between your legs.
You know, this is more or less neutral.
No,
with regard-
open.
Open like this. Oh, and then laying back. Yeah, sure. Yeah, this is very vulnerable. And even, you know, this is very vulnerable. Definitely.
So wheel would be front.
Wheel. Chakras, like back bending.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. Heart open. Big. You're really open. Yeah.
Would that be igniting all the chakras?
It is. I mean, basically, I think all the poses ignite the chakras, basically. I mean, I think Warrior 2 ignites the chakras too. You know, it's like, but Wheel, you can make the case that it's really opening the front chakras a lot.
Light up your rainbow.
What?
Light up your rainbow and do like a wheel.
Yeah.
That's a metaphor.
Whale,
Rainbow.
rainbow. That's pretty. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Light up your rainbow. Yeah, I do believe, like I said in the chakra, I think all yoga classes could be called chakra opening classes. I think your chakras are open at the end of a yoga class. I do. So going upside down, what about inversion? What is the symbolism of doing a headstand?
Changing your perspective.
Totally. Turning your perspective upside down. Looking at things in a complete reversal of the way that you look at things. Isn't it true?
Yeah, I get that in downward dog.
How about turning your world upside down and then still breathing and knowing that everything's okay? Right?
Flexible thoughts, you know, like because you're used to see at things a certain way and then it's another point of view.
I think that's a great thing to say. It's a completely different point of view, right? It's true. That's good. Also, again, your heart is above your head and the same things there. Doing something differently, completely reversing the way that you do things. Overcoming fear, definitely. Going upside down, overcoming fear. And back bending, overcoming fear. Both of those are known. Like if you're going to do a workshop to let go of your fears, you would put heart opening back bends in there. You wouldn't. And then you can end it with forward bending. End it with forward bending, nurturing things so people feel safe again. You don't want to leave them walking out of there feeling fearful. Right? You want to use the yoga poses at the end to calm them down and make them feel secure. There's a lot of work in like restorative yoga and also different type of, you could kind of lay somebody back like this, you know, and they open their front of their heart, they open with love, and you can talk about forgiveness and, you know, letting go, trusting love, stuff like that. The symbolism just makes a lot of sense when you're in the yoga pose. Do you know what I'm saying? Does a teacher ever say something and you go, God, that's really true?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're in the pose. You just hear it and you can understand it at a different level. As opposed to us just talking here where you still make connections, but it's maybe not quite so profound, the understanding of it. Okay, now, presenting a spiritual message. A spiritual message is almost always appreciated by students. If you're not comfortable with giving your own spiritual words extemporaneously, that means making them up as you go along. Script it beforehand. Or use a quote from a favorite spiritual teacher or an inspirational passage from a spiritual book, scripture, or text. This can be done before, during, or after the asana practice. Planning is best. So this is a key point. Like I told you guys, I want you guys to have a theme to your class. Chances are it will probably be a spiritual theme. It won't be something like, you know, getting more material possessions out of your yoga practice. You know? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but yeah.
Get rich on your mat.
This is something that this is something that who gets a sense that they're, you know, presenting a spiritual message is a little bit like uncomfortable for them or uncharted territory, or you wouldn't know what to do. Does anybody feel like I wouldn't know what to say?
I feel like voicing it, like in my head, it makes sense,
Yeah, but,
but
like,
trying to
spit
say
it
out
out.
loud.
Yeah,
it's
it's, okay. So for you guys, scripting it is key, or planning ahead and reading a book. Like, do you read spiritual books sometimes? Do you ever read a paragraph? It's like, oh my God, that nails it. This is
Yeah.
exactly it. Just fold the corner of the page down, come into class, I would like to start this class. Everybody sitting, everybody close your eyes, reading a quote by When the world, it's very effective, very effective. It's actually a better use of your time than rambling. You're better off planning, having that book in front of you and reading it, then getting on with it, rather than struggling along trying to think of something spiritual to say.
That could also get you started, right?
It gets you started. Then what you'll see is during the class, you'll say stuff that relates to that quote, and it makes sense to the people when they're doing the poses. So nobody ever listens to me when I say to do this. Teachers in California do it much more. In New York, I've seen that. They bring a book, and they're just like, I'd like to read this as we get started. Knowledge is power. But is it? Personally, I think that, they just read it, about a minute or something like that.
Bring in like angel cards that had quotes on everybody, got to pick their own, and then that was their.
Yeah, you can play that game. You can play that game, but once you teach 500 classes, you're probably not going to be passing out the angel cards. If you're lucky enough to start to get 30 people, that's going to take a little longer, But people do it. Definitely, people do it. Sharon did it, though. Sharon listens to me. And I don't know if she still does, but does she bring a book or a
We had a
quote?
vote today.
Yeah, so she actually listened to that advice. And I think that made her classes immediately more spiritual. We know that technically she knows what she's talking about in terms of the alignment and the asana. But then just by doing this, it put a spiritual, meaningful, and it put a spiritual emphasis on the class, and it doesn't take much time, but she plans. She is at home before her Sunday morning class looking for a quote, or, she thinks about it during the week and reads stuff and goes, I need to read that today. And sometimes the other thing that she would do, which I also think is very effective, you read it in the beginning, and then you read the same exact quote in the very end.
Yeah.
And the people will hear it differently. And you're like, oh, I got it. You feel it on a different level after the chakras are opened and the...
Yeah, I always love classes that do that.
Yeah, it's so easy for you guys to do. And she didn't invent that. Don't feel like you're stealing that. That's a known technique. That's a known thing to do. So there's nothing wrong with that. You're not stealing somebody's style or anything.
How do you feel about like saying quotes while you're at the end in Shavasana?
Loving it. That's wonderful. No, a little bit in the beginning. In Shavasana, if you're going to talk in the beginning of Shavasana.
And then stop.
And then stop talking. I used to talk all the way through Shavasana, and it's a little bit asteya. A little bit you're stealing the silence from the student. So I recommend at least the last 2 minutes, no music, no talking. No music, no talking.
But your talking is like helpful because you are teaching. There's some teachers that I don't want to fall into criticism, but I've experienced in Guatemala that I don't remember now, but there's sometimes that I've experienced that they are talking and it's no longer useful what they're saying, and
Right.
I'm like, please let me,
Right.
let me like,
They might be going like, relax the back of your heels.
and your toes.
And you
and
relax your
I'm like,
toenail
oh
and
my
feel
God.
your eyebrows relax. A little bit of that and then shut up. Everybody
Yeah.
is relaxed, okay?
But sometimes it's like when we'll do like a guided meditation, like a visual thing.
Yeah,
That's really nice.
that's
Mary
nice,
does
but
that.
but in an hour-long class, the relaxation is going to be 5 minutes, and you might not have time for that.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm doing
Yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah. No, it can be nice.
What, the assisting?
No, like
A guided meditation at the
Oh,
end.
I like the assisting at the end of the class.
The assisting at the
That's
end,
nice.
everybody loves
Is
that.
there like a time for Shavasana? Like,
Yes,
do you
5 minutes.
Is it
Yes,
more,
minimum
any
5
more,
minutes.
though?
More is
Do you
fine,
have,
but
like,
less
a
than
10
5,
minute?
not. 10 minutes is great, especially if you've taught a hard class or it's a Friday or something, or a lot of hip openers. Longer you do hip openers, the longer people will relax. But 10 minutes, sometimes you'll see people get fidgety. Not everybody is going deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
So but minimum 5 minutes is what I want. And if you guys are teaching your class and you realize, oh my God, I'm putting people into relaxation and it's been 60 minutes, don't rush the Shavasana. I think I'm going to talk about Shavasana at a certain other point. We could just talk about it now because it's very important and I want you to understand it. Shavasana, it has to be a minimum of 5 minutes. Now, I used to think, okay, I need to talk to them almost the whole time to get them to relax. But what I've learned is the parasympathetic nervous system, it just will naturally relax after 5 minutes. That's just it. It just does it. So you don't have to spend the whole time, relax your tongue, relax your chest. A little bit of that in the beginning can be nice, and certainly the breathing, that tells the parasympathetic nervous system that it's time to relax and you can relax. So that gets you, but you can just shut up and put on some music for the first couple minutes and then turn the music off and leave it all blank. And then coming out, I think it's nice with the ching, chong. Don't you like the bells coming out? That's also a planning thing on your part. If you're here in our studio, we have a little bit of stuff sitting around. I told you can download that one app, right? The IG app. But I used to, for many years, I didn't plan and I didn't have that. And I would just use my voice and I'd say, okay, slowly starting to go back. It's okay. But that ching ching is kind of, there's no words to it. But you know the end is there. So I recommend that.
Sometimes
Yeah. Go in your spot. What do you think?
sometimes you like pull your voice.
I clear my voice a little
Yeah,
bit to
like-
get ready for,
exactly.
so it's not just a word right off the bat. You know?
Yeah, I noticed that.
I do that. You're right. It's true. So I like the little chimes. Ching, dong, ding, you know, whatever. Ding. I hit those little bells together. Do not rush the final relaxation. I'll tell you a very, very common mistake of the new teacher. You teach a class. You're going to think your class sucks. You're going to be beating yourself up mentally the whole class. Like, oh, fuck, I didn't do this right. I said left instead of right in Warrior 2. I forgot this part of the sequence. I screwed up my spiritual message. The students are going to not have any conception of that. None. They're going to think, great class. They're focused on the positive. And remember also what I taught you in the beginning. The poses and the breathing is why a student feels good at the end of class. Not because Paul was such a great guy. You know what I'm saying? Don't take too much credit for teaching a good class, nor beat yourself up for teaching what you consider to be a bad class. Just call out the poses, do the sequencing the best that you know how, be organized and planned, but also be ready to be intuitive and spontaneous. Be yourself. Have a good time, be friendly to the students, don't get angry at the students, and keep moving forward. No matter what mistake you make, you just stumble forward through your plan until the end of the class with pose and pose and pose. I think the worst thing is to have one of those vinyasa flow classes where the teacher stops everything for 10 minutes and talks to the people. Like the way I talk to you guys now. I know this is not a yoga class. I don't have 1 hour to make you guys feel good. If you have 1 hour to make the pickup, have them in a pose the entire time, at least child's pose. If you want to read something, you can say, let's drop down into child's pose right here. I'm going to read you guys a quote, you know, and then at least they're in the shape of the pose so that gravity, the shape of the pose, and the physiological function of the body is having its good effect on the person, stretching the muscles and flowing the blood and opening up while you're talking. That's my, for sure, technique. I don't sit there and talk to the people for long periods of time when I walk into that room. Here I am, because that's what we're doing here. This is workshop talking about. So, final relaxation, what I see is the teacher teaches a class that they think the class sucks, and it doesn't. Just so long as you're teaching the poses and moving forward, your class is great. If you are making a mistake early on, it's probably you're rushing. You're nervous, because when I used to train the public speakers, remember, when you start to do public speaking, you talk too fast. And you go too fast. And you're like, Warrior 2. Backwards warrior, forwards warrior, vinyasa. People are like, weren't we just in warrior 2, like a second? You know, don't rush. If anything, error on the side of holding the frickin' pose way too long and don't talk. That's what the pose makes the person feel good, not the words, so to speak. You know, that's the essence of the class. So, you'll teach a class. You'll be judging yourself crazily. You'll be thinking, I gotta get out of here. I don't want to sit on this teacher's seat anymore. I gotta end this thing. And you'll put the people in final relaxation. And a minute after they go in, you'll be like, ching, ching, chong, rolling over onto our right side and coming up to a seated position, please. Everybody, put your hands together. Om, namaste. People will be kind of like, what was that? So the worst class that you think you teach, slow it down in final relaxation. For sure, 5 minutes minimum. Then, when you're sitting up here wanting to get off of the teacher's seat and get it over it, go around and do the assist, like you say. Push the shoulders down. Take a deep breath with a couple of the people. Shut up. Just turn off the music. Look at the clock and force yourself to not talk for 3-4 minutes of relaxation. Slowly bring the people back out of it. 3 ohms. A final blessing on them. Thankfulness, gratitude. Thank you guys. I feel so much better that that's over. I hope you guys feel good too. Namaste. And they'll be like, great class. So the crappier the class, you can still make up for it with a great final relaxation where you slow it down and do the assist.
Another thing I'm thinking is that I imagine teaching a class is you're doing yoga too. So when you find yourself in your thoughts and judging, and you hear yourself judging yourself, maybe verbalize the class to breathe so that you breathe too,
Totally.
and then say, notice your thoughts and what you're thinking. Are you judging yourself? And because then you're kind of like connecting with that and able to, you know.
Absolutely. Yoga teaching is incredible to heal yourself. There's times I walk in, you guys can probably tell, you know, I'm a little upset. Sometimes on Monday, Wednesday, some stuff has happened. Occasionally Saturday morning, I'm usually not too upset on Saturday, but sometimes stuff happens. And then, you know, you just come, I can just stand there and everybody's there, and I just put a smile on my face. I look at the people and I smile. I know, you know, don't be angry. Don't look at the people and be angry. They're going to read that. But I'm still just acting that I'm happy, you know? And then I'm like, let's just take a few moments. And they're for me. You know? It's totally for me. So, and then you start to warm towards the people, you know.
Yours.
Yeah, it's so yoga teaching is very therapeutic. You'll see. You'll feel high. When you guys finish your class, all your chakras will be open. You'll be ecstatic. You know, it'll be like end of final exams in college. You know, last day of high school. So, final relaxation. Never rush it. That's a bad way to end a class. A rushed final relaxation. Talking fast, bringing them out too fast, moving too fast with the assist. Remember, it's better to do 3 or 4 good assists than 16 fast. Push, 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 push. Next person. Bum, 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 bum. Next person. They'll be like all slowed down, all calmed down with the slow brain waves, the poses and the breathing. And they'll be like, why is this teacher rushing? You know what I'm saying? So sense the vibes and play it slow at the end, and you really can't miss. Because the parasympathetic nervous system relaxation response. That's why you can't miss. Remember, the autonomic nervous system, it has 2 possibilities. Sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system is fight or flight. And parasympathetic, the exact opposite. Most people chronically live in fight or flight because the brain, the body, can't tell the difference between an actual threat, which we don't have too much anymore. It's not like 200 years ago when a bear might have been chasing you down or something, you know? We don't really have actual threats that much. But the body and the nervous system can't tell the difference between an actual threat and fearful thoughts. If you walk around chronically thinking, I don't know where this money's going to come from. This is scary. This is devastating. You know, you'll keep your nervous system in fight or flight, and that has a very bad effect on your immune system, your autoimmune system, chronic stress. You know, shortness of breath. Really. So what they found is The parasympathetic response, where you relax, is more effective after you stimulate the sympathetic nervous system. So that's totally why we go into Warrior 2 and Downward Dog and Vinyasa and jumping up. That's stimulating the sympathetic nervous system. That's stressing your nerves out and stimulating faster breathing and adrenaline and fight or flight. It's stimulating that. Then you relax for the 5 minutes. Way deeper, and that's why this therapy is so good. So that'll all happen in spite of how bad you think your class is. If you just play it cool, do your plan, get through it, and then make sure they have at least 5 minutes of relaxation.
You need like a few minutes to get them there, right, before the 5 minutes?
Yeah, I think I don't like classes that have really heart rate inducing exercises right before you go to Shavasana. I like more this type of stuff, the one that, you know. I like this. That's the very just some nice, or some breathing exercises, some laying on the back, and then after you finally stop, 5 minutes from that point, yes. Yeah. And remember, the last 2 minutes, no music, no talking. All right, where are we at? Presenting a spiritual message. So, that I got off on Shavasana on that. So, planning, I want your class to have a theme. I think you should write something down about that theme and read it. That will make your class better, faster. That puts you from being a neophyte teacher who cannot bring a spiritual message for years, maybe, to somebody who brings a spiritual message from the very first class that they teach. And all it is planning, preparation, and reading a quote. That's it. It's so much easier than you think. So much easier. Class themes is similar to presenting a spiritual message. Class themes might be being in the present moment, the elements, earth, air, fire, and water, forgiveness, detachment, taking your practice off the mat, finding balance in life, developing loving kindness, cultivating patience, going inward, the Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga Sutras, the Inland Path. Non-dualism is a big theme. That's my normal theme, non-dualism.
But what was the difference between setting the intention and the theme? Is that the same?
No, I think it's the same. I think if you're going to present a theme to the class, say the theme of the class is following your heart in life, okay? Then I think you should set the intention to say, close your eyes, let's take a moment, take a deep breath. May we set our intention to always follow our heart in life. I think the teacher should set the intention to match the theme. I wouldn't recommend setting a theme like, let's set a theme, following our heart in life. And then everybody put your hands together. Take a moment to set your own intention, to set your intent. I wouldn't leave them off on that, you know? Do you go to classes where the teachers like take a moment to set your intention?
Yeah.
It's very common. Does it work for you?
Yeah.
It doesn't really work for me anymore. It's been done too much. I go, I don't know, I guess forgive people. I'm not really invested in it. I think it's a little bit of a cop-out on the part of the teacher. I think you should tell them what their intention should be and set a group intention rather than letting everybody
Figure it out.
figure it out. I think it's more appreciated. The people are there for you to guide them, to be their guide in asana and in spiritual intention. So I mean, it's okay to say, take a moment to set your intention. Some people I know, but I know myself, and I know a lot of people are just like, come on, yeah, okay, I said that. And that's why sometimes I realized also, what is everybody's intention when they go to mat? Everybody goes to that mat. Everybody walks in that door and puts their mat down and stands there. Everybody has the exact same intention already, which is what?
Feel good.
You want to feel good. You want to feel happy. You want to feel joyous. You want to feel good. That's why you came to class.
I like that. I like when they say pick an intention.
You do, and you're left on your own? Okay, so that's individual preference, okay?
Well,
So, totally fine.
I'm gonna touch upon that because I'm studying with this like amazing workshop lady off in the US and
Right.
she's crazy brilliant with how to retain people. And the broad statement of picking an intention, and this is just like such a micro level example,
Yes,
but like,
of
oh,
course.
picking an intention of, my mind's rambling, I'm not really paying any attention,
Right.
because I'd rather pick my butt right now. So if you give them, like, if you throw a dart on something, either give everyone the same intention, or say, today, you know, we're all healthy enough to be here, so pray for someone else. And that's still throwing a dart on something.
Yeah.
Saying, like, you're capable.
Oh, it
of
is.
using this practice for someone else. So it's like you're still giving them the capability to choose,
Yes,
and you're throwing the dart.
I like that.
With that, you're actually talking to 67% more people than the 3% of people you're talking to in this really broad,
yeah.
pick an intention. And this
I'm in
on a
agreement with
micro
that.
scale, but yeah.
No, I agree with that. I
You
think
think
that's
you're
great.
leaving people out, like, oh, they're not going to want to pray, but you're actually talking to more people.
God, I totally agree. You know, dedicate your practice to somebody else today.
Right.
You probably came here because you want to feel good and you want to be healthy, but
Yeah.
let's shift that. Boom, now you have everybody. Do you see what I'm saying? No? We're done?
That never
Work.
connects with me.
That doesn't? Okay.
Like my
You're
sister
like
is in
the
bed,
40%.
like paralyzed
That's
from a
okay.
toothache right now. So I dedicated my practice earlier to her, but she's like my world. It's still hard for me to connect to, like devoting I don't get that, I guess.
There's
there's
30%
different-
of the people that are just never going to believe the message you share, but you're still grabbing 67%
Yeah.
more people than if you were to speak to 3%. You know, and I think like Bradell's message could still speak to like maybe more than 3%, but you know, there's always going to be people that say no, and then you bless them, and then you move on.
I agree with your teacher there, because the times that I come with a strong plan to set the intention and do it that way and say something right in the beginning, I can tell by the quality of the room. People are really tuned into what I'm saying, you know. And the ones that are not wouldn't have been anyway, so it doesn't really matter, and that's fine too. That's completely fine. Does everybody come into the yoga room? Should they be expected to be spiritual and take a spiritual message from it? Or can they just do the exercises and feel good and walk out the door? Absolutely. Absolutely. But at least you as a teacher are trying. And people do like to hear the spiritual message in the yoga class. I really believe that.
Yeah.
And then there's other times, I know, there was times when I used to be so overly spiritualized that I think people were just like, come on, Paul, like, let's just do some poses here and shut up. I'm sure
I
there's,
think it's a balance.
Yeah.
it's got to be a balance. It's a
Message,
balance.
yeah.
Message and then back into asana and alignment.
Yeah.
Then a couple minutes later, 3 minutes, 15 minutes later, message, and then back into sequencing and how to do the poses and breathe and inspiring thoughts and encouragement and stuff like that.
When you first started, though, did you focus more just on the poses, and then as you got better at teaching that, did you then move into like
No.
developing your spiritual?
No, because I was influenced heavily by the guy Brian Kest in LA, and he talked a spiritual message while he did the poses, and for me that was just instantly I could do that. You have to put the people in the pose. You have to say triangle pose. Put your right foot forward. You have to get them there. But once they're there, I've always been more interested in the psychology and the psychological aspects of yoga than the technical alignment aspects of it. And to me also, I've never had great, like perfect alignment. I have good alignment. But alignment isn't what makes me feel good from a yoga class. It's the message, the group energy, and the entire flow, the sense of accomplishment that I stayed there and did the whole class and did the relaxation and sat up. And that's what makes me feel good, not the fact that I did Warrior 2 with excellent hip alignment today, you know? But anyway, everybody's got a different, there's a big yoga world out there. You play it any way that you want and you can be successful. All
I
right,
was
so you,
actually thinking of you in this class I went to in South Miami. There's this yoga instructor and she was like really like hurrying everybody through the pose, and she was like screaming, like she was like, "Wow, everyone!" And like the room was like really small, and then it was just like it was really loud. And then at the end, and then she like assisted, and she like was not mindful really, and so like I like fell, and like other people were falling like all over the place because like the way she was like moving.
What's her name?
South Miami, and then at the end, it was like a 1-minute Shavasana, and I was just like waiting all the class until that moment.
And it was
And then it was like gong, okay, like, you know, remove your fingers, da 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 da, like namaste.
It's you know, people who do that, they just took the wrong teacher training.
Yeah.
It's so easy not to do that. Literally, none of you guys' class from the first, you're not going to do that. You're not going to. You know, you have a deeper understanding. It happens. It does happen.
What teacher was it?
Willa wants you to throw her in the bus. You can tell her later after class, okay? Because we're recording this, it'll be on the internet. All right, I'm on page 76 now. Nobody does this in Miami. Nobody does this, but you can do storytelling. Use of Hindu mythology or inspirational storytelling in asana classes can be profound. Should be planned and heavily scripted in advance.
Dawn does that.
Oh, Dawn does it?
Yeah, she does
Okay,
it
cool.
Hindu,
Cool, that's good.
Vishnu and
There's so much time, and there was a class my mom used to go to in LA way back in the 80s or whatever, and the teacher would read a page or two from the Bhagavad Gita every class. Not the whole class long, but just a page or two. And by the end of the year, they'd read the Bhagavad Gita.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, and the teacher had made commentary on it, and like, this is what Arjuna means when he, you know, blah, 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 and he knew all the characters, and the students, it retained the students. They were invested then in coming back and hearing the story, and they felt they were learning philosophy at the same time as doing asana. Super easy to do, again, but you just got to bring that book and have the chutzpah to do that in some pose or another. You can't do it when you're playing music and teaching an intense sequence. You know, it would have to be a more slowed down section. Maybe when people are in child's pose or seated forward bend, you can read parts of it. You know, when they're in poses that they can hold for a while. And I don't recommend reading a whole bunch of stuff at the beginning of class while everybody's cold and sitting there. It'll be like, hey, Arjuna, yeah. Krishna, yes, got that. Get that. You know, they want that breath and movement. They want that asana and pranayama. Setting an intention, we talked about this. It could be a group, can be a group intention set by the teacher, or the teacher can guide the students to set an individual intention. At the beginning of class, we talked about that. I mean, the great thing is, the greatest thing about yoga teaching is you can totally blow it. Say you do the intention, you're like, that didn't work. Guess what? Tomorrow you'll probably teach another class. You just change it. You get so many chances at this. So many. So try stuff. See what works. Apologizing is not ever really necessary, nor, unless it's just like a small apology. Like say I forget the whole right side of something. I'm like, oh, sorry guys, we got to back up to the right side. And it's just a quick little sorry. But I don't want you guys to be up here teaching, and can happen. You're teaching, you know, in your mind, here's what you're thinking. This sucks. This class is horrible. I'm blowing it. And that's not what they're thinking. That's not what's happening out there. They're in Warrior 2. They're breathing in Downward Dog. They're doing the yoga class. But you're like this. And then you make some mistake, and you're like, guys, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is bad. I'm so sorry. Yeah, nobody wants their teacher to be like that. Nobody. So do not do that, okay? Like I said, if you completely blow it, put the people either in downward dog or child's pose so they're facing this way and just go. You know, and look at your plan, see the next thing and say, and totally change your voice and say, now we're going to do Warrior 2. Lunge your right foot to the front of that. And you just completely reset with the next thing of moving forward. You stumble forward. You just mistake your way through the class. But don't apologize about stuff. Unless it's just a quickie. Like, oh, sorry about that. Let's do the left side. You know, unless it's like something quickie like that. Introducing poses. This is how you avoid the repetitive speech patterns. When you introduce a pose, introducing the pose you intend to teach by stating the name of the pose in Sanskrit or English is appreciated by more advanced students. So, or both. Here's how I would say it. first you kind of, you give them one action thing to get them moving in the direction. Like if this was the beginning of the class, I would say, okay, everybody, let's stand up, and then I would stand up. We're going to come to the front of our mat. We're going to start with mountain pose, Tadasana. So I said mountain pose in English, and then I said the Sanskrit name Tadasana. So the students will immediately know, okay, I'm standing, and the fact that you're standing up. But I don't recommend, as a beginning teacher, to start to do all the descriptive stuff that you're trying to say to do in a pose without saying the name of the pose either in Sanskrit or in English. So say I was trying to teach triangle pose. Say we're in mountain pose and I'm going to teach triangle pose. And I don't say it's going to be triangle pose now. And I just say, okay, keep your left foot forward, drop your right foot back about 3 feet and turn this foot in. Extend the arms out, lift up, and then slowly come forward. Because the students who know the pose are going to be like, why didn't you just tell me to get set up for triangle pose? The advanced student is going to be, why do I have to go along step by step with your beginning teacher methodology description of how to do it, when all you have to do is tell me, we're going to go into Trikonasana now. Oh, okay, I know Trikonasana, I've done it 1,000 times. Then they follow, then they're just a little bit more on their own. They don't have to go, what is he trying to say that I should do? Is he trying to say I should do Prasarika Padottanasana? Well, just tell me, Prasarika Padottanasana, wide leg straddle forward bend to the right. You know, why don't you say it? So, near the beginning, announce what pose you're going to say, either in Sanskrit, English, or preferably both.
Paul?
Yeah.
I've been in some classes where they ask, like, yoga first time, so it's like to pay attention more, and usually it's like 2 or 3 people, the first timers.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of measure the level of your group.
Yeah.
And then she's like, okay, then she doesn't move them, but she's like, she already spotted them. And
that's cool, yeah.
Yeah, like.
And sometimes they'll come up to you and say, this is my first class, that's good. I don't ever get into that talk, asking questions to the, I think I told you before Elaine's workshop. I don't go around and go, injuries? Who has an injury? Everybody tell me your injuries.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be able to remember that. That's not my intention of the classes that I teach. And it also insinuates that I know how you're feeling in the pose and I'm somehow responsible.
It's too much responsibility.
It's too much responsibility. So a little bit with the beginners, it's okay to say any beginners or first-time people, but you might have people who go, you know, this one guy raises his hand, a tight guy, he's sitting, you know, he's like this. He's already self-conscious as hell. He's like, beginners? He's like, and all these other girls in Lululemon are looking around. He feels like, oh, I am really out of place here. So careful with that because you isolate the beginners and they feel a little like, oh, I'm a beginner. You know, I'm the newbie here. You know.
So what do you say?
Maybe first time to my class, you can say like that's.
Yeah. Anybody never been to my class before? Yeah. And then after they raise their hand, I would be like, welcome. Thank you very much for coming. I would be like that, like not like, okay. Watch out for this, don't do that, be careful of this, you know, don't start giving the beginner's instructions and singling one person out. You know what I'm saying, the beginner? If your teacher's saying that she does that just so she can keep an eye on them, that's good. But I don't like to single out the beginners, I don't like to. I'm happy, and then I might, in the midst of a big 40-person class, I might say, I know we have some beginners here. There's people here, it's probably their first yoga class or maybe their first week of taking yoga. Welcome. This is great. You're in the club. You know, it's hard for everybody. Don't think that you're the only one struggling. My job is to try to make it difficult for everybody. But also, take it easy on yourself. If you have any questions at any time, just blurt them out. Any question at any time, just say it. I'll do my best to answer. I just talk to the whole group like that.
That's great.
You know, I just start talking to the whole group in the context of, and I'm just really talking to a couple of people. So that's introducing poses. So we talked about repetitive stretch. Just be aware, we're all going to do it. You won't even hear yourself doing it. You'll be like, and the next pose is this, and the next pose is this, and the next pose is this, and then you'll realize you've said that 30 times. But avoid babbling if you're nervous. Slow down. Once you get the people in the pose, if you feel like you're babbling or you're nervous, just shut up for a while. Just shut up. And then then when you give the next instruction, like say everybody's in Warrior 2, and you shut up for a while, and you realize you've just been saying, and now I want you to, and that's how you've been setting up everything. So don't say, and now I want you to take vinyasa. Just say, vinyasa. Just cut straight to whatever. Don't say the preface of whatever you've been saying, and just say whatever it is you want to say. Just cut straight to the action. Guided relaxation or guided visualization, prepare in advance. Scripting is necessary. Injuries near the beginning of the class. I think the teacher should always give students clear verbal instruction to immediately get out of any pose if they feel pain or possible injury. You've got to empower these people that they're responsible for themselves. And that's a very empowering message. If you are responsible for your body and you injure yourself, then also you can take responsibility and learn how to get out of the injury, and then you know how to get out of injuries. That's a very empowered message. Don't leave it up to me to try to get you out of your injury. You need to learn how to heal your own body, how to be in your own body skillfully and comfortably. So, I think that. Options when teaching classes with students of differing ability, which inevitably you will be doing. The teacher should present options for easier and then proceeding to more challenging variations. Easier options should be given first, right? So, you get the people in the triangle. And now you can say, okay, some people, you can reach your arms forward. You could start to do these ones. You could put this in back. You could lengthen your stance if you want more challenge. You could flatten your hand on the floor. But start with the easiest basic ones and then offer the more challenging ones. And what you'll find is that everybody will try to do the more challenging things that you say. Even if you've probably heard me say, most flexible people, or if you're really flexible, you can try this. And the tightest guy tries it. So they're going to do that. It's okay. It's no big deal. All right, so let's go right on to 77 and keep going. This is a continuation of the same type of thing. What I tried to do with this 8 limbs of successful yoga teaching was I was trying to figure out what makes a successful yoga teacher. And there's certain things that are not fair called talent, where if you have talent, you can be successful at certain things, and you don't even have to work as hard as everybody else. So I looked around like some teachers in LA, and like a lot of them, they're really good looking. So, congratulations. If you're really good looking and you become a yoga teacher, maybe a whole bunch of people will come to your class, so congratulations, that's great. But not everybody's like that. So what is it that you can do that doesn't rely on talent? What work can you do? What effort can you make to make yourself successful? And I tried to identify stuff that you can do to make yourself successful. So the number one is in terms of effort, is make effort, try. So make people feel special. Establish a personal connection with the people. People want to be recognized and given attention by their yoga teacher. Make an effort to learn about them, invest in them. And they'll make an effort to return and invest in you. Give first, and then you're going to receive. So learn their names. This is just a basic fundamental. Learn their names. That is one huge way of retaining students. Get to know everybody and know their names. Give individualized attention to people. Learn about their bodies. Learn about their injuries. Try to help them. I'm not saying if somebody's injured and you know that they're injured, if they're like, look, I have a very bad neck injuries. It's not just like, oh, all right, whatever. Do shoulder stand. You say, for that person, you go, hey, I don't think shoulder stand and head stand are good for your neck. And, it's not like if you know they have injuries that you ignore that information. So learn about their bodies, learn about their preferences, get to know them. Smile at people. This is a biggie for me because I always look more serious than I really feel. I have a serious look on my face all the time. So I learned to look at people and smile. That helps so much. You'll have people in the class and they'll be like looking at me, and then I'll look at them and I'll just be like, and they'll be like, okay, everybody's cool. Not creepy. That was creepy. That was a little creepy.
I would run out of the studio.
Creepy. No, but not natural. I can do it. I just can't do it on. I'm not a good actor. All right, so smile at him in a non-creepy way. Give excellent hands-on assists. Give excellent hands-on assists. That's what our Bay does. Hustle the class. When I was first coming up, I would give a lot more assists in class. Now I have bigger classes and I kind of work in my spiritual theme, and I don't hustle the assists as much. But you guys should. And definitely assist in final relaxation. You should not think, this is time for me to just sit here. I see the beginning teachers and they're like, get up, shake somebody's legs, push their shoulders down, work it, okay? Use aromatherapy. Some people don't like it, but most everybody else will. Create community. Sharon is very good at creating community in her Sunday morning. I think that's basically one of the big secrets to her building up that Sunday morning class. She makes it fun to be a part of that group, right? You feel like you're a part of that group. It's fun to be a part of that group. That's community building. Got to learn their names, you know, take an interest in people, introduce people, stuff like that. You're the hostess of the party. Play fantastic music. This is easy. That's not difficult. I've never had a class of a teacher training where I felt like somebody blew it with the playlist. You guys have a good sense of music if you play it.
3.
She's coming to
3.
Yeah.
Are you
Today's
going to
a
teach a
handstand.
class too, or is it just going to be me?
What's that?
What are they doing, a handstand each time?
A handstand workout. Did Arbe get you guys warmed up a little bit?
No.
Did he do any sun salutations or anything? I told him. But you assisted in sun salutation right away? I mean, if you're going to teach a workshops, I told him, I think it's good to maybe just roll through Sun A, Sun B for 12 minutes. Or 3 Sun A and 5 Sun B. Then everybody's a little happier. You know what I'm saying? I think some of these workshops, they might just launch right into assisting.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel as good as after you've done a little bit of work on your own mat. Sun B is key for that. He showed you how to assist in every pose of sun salutation. Right? Like that, I don't work that hard. That's a lot.
I feel like we needed more time with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this whole thing, you're going to have 18 different teachers in this teacher training. They all could do, you know, 5 hours with you guys, each of them. So it's just, now you know where he is. You know, call him for private. He has some group classes on Key Biscayne. Maybe he'll sub.
We're going to try to organize actually something for next week. He said that he would do a class for all of us.
Great.
Next week for $100.
When?
I'm gonna coordinate it. I'm gonna put it on the Facebook page.
Oh, like in the morning time or something
no,
like
in
that?
afternoon.
After the whole thing's over?
No.
After the
During the
teacher
week.
training?
Next week.
Oh, during the week?
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's great.
Yeah.
He's so generous like
Yeah,
that.
he
I mean,
was
and the
already-
guy does make a good amount of money. So you guys, if you show him that you want it,
Yeah.
it's not a money issue with him.
Yeah.
You know, he wants to get paid some, but it's not like,
He priced it very fairly.
yeah. So that's cool. Take advantage of that. That's great. He's great.
Okay.
Definitely.
I'm gonna post it.
Tag me in that post so I can actually get it.
Yeah.
Is there any way we can do it here?
I think you could do it here. Sure. I think
Yeah.
you can do it here. Definitely. All you have to do is look at the schedule of when there are classes and find an open slot, and then
We can clean the room after.
you can clean the room after, you can come in, and just so long as there's no crazy thing going on, like a one-off private that's happening here, which is very rare. But your best time is like 2 o'clock in the afternoon is the best time. And the front desk person doesn't have to stay, you know, just don't steal, rob the place. All right, 79, develop a class theme. We talked about that. All right, 80, this is the second of the 8 limbs of the successful yoga teaching. Consistency. There's 2 types of consistency that you're going to need. One is to maintain a consistent level of intensity. Whether your class is going to be easy or hard, people want to know that each class is going to be about the same level, even if the sequence is slightly different. That's why we like Bikram or Ashtanga, because you know a different town that you go into, you know what level of intensity it's going to be. You can trust that. So you can't, I couldn't just go into my Monday night class at 6 and say, today we're going to do yin yoga. Let's just lay on our back. And the people would be like, come on, this is not consistent with what you've been doing. So, but there's another kind of consistency that is also critical, and that is that you have to consistently show up. Create a schedule that's sustainable for yourself, and you have to show up and teach the class every week, every month, year after year after year after year. You have to show up being a yoga teacher. You have to be very consistent.
On time.
Start on time, end on time. That's important. Within 3-4 months, something like that. All right, authenticity is another part of being successful. So you have to practice what you preach. You have to have sadhana. You have to practice asana yourself and go on that mat consistently so you're authentic. And then you have to have passion. You have to love yoga so you're authentic about it. I don't think every single person, if you've had a teacher in the faculty yet who you didn't think was passionate about yoga, that they would just treat it as a job and they didn't really care. Not one, right? You guys won't be that way. You'll be passionate about it because it means so much to us. We love it. It's so awesome. Find your niche. I'm on page 81 now. So your niche could be, precision and alignment, the health benefits. We talked about that. I think researching the health benefits, the science of asana, breathing, and meditation, and talking about that is really compelling to people. Like that little thing that I just told you about the autonomic nervous system and the sympathetic and the parasympathetic response. That's so available on the internet. I learned all that off Google. You Google nervous system yoga, it's right there. Physical transformation. Emily, you probably work with that message a lot.
Yeah.
Physical transformation. Personal transformation also goes hand in hand with physical transformation. Staying true to a certain lineage, path, or guru is also authentic. So, you're going to have Matteo. He's true to the Bhakti yoga path, devotion and love. That's his path. Any spiritual path can do, though. There's all kinds of yoga. There's Christian yoga. There's Christian yoga. They just don't own. They say amen.
Amen. Like that?
They say what?
How they do it?
They do crucifix asana. You have to cross your eyes. That's horrible.
So bad.
That's so
I'm Christian. I'm bad.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I know you guys have a sense of humor. There was a girl who took the teacher training I was giving it at the Miami Yoga Show 10 years ago. And she was from outside of Orlando. And she was Christian. And she moved back there and she became the Christian yoga teacher of Orlando. To this day, she's like hugely regarded there. And the scripture, when they come with their spiritual theme, they're like, this is from Psalms 2:17. May the Lord, and it's just like that. And then they're like, okay, warrior 2. Now they don't use Sanskrit. She doesn't make you chant Om Namah Shivaya. She doesn't say the poses, just keep you don't even say Tadasana, you just say mountain pose. Just keep it English with those people. Keep it, and keep the scientific, physical benefits of this pose. This pose is good for your digestive organs, and who could argue with that?
That's cool that lecture, apparently it's like an opening mind church or place where she's teaching, because I don't think that's,
She's huge there, I'm telling you. She got into the Bible Belt up there, and it works very well.
She threw that dart.
Huh?
She absolutely found her niche.
The Christian.
People do sports. I, for a while, did yoga for golf, and I made a couple of videos of yoga for golfers. I'm a golfer, so I was in authenticity, and I really believed the message. And I got in Yoga Journal, and I got in Golf Digest, and I got reviewed in national publications, and I became known as this yoga for golf. And then I wanted to get out of that. I didn't want to just teach golfers yoga. Like, for me, it is more of a spiritual undertaking, and I wanted to teach, everybody. So I got out of that. But it was good for me for a while. There's the Course in Miracles teachers, Buddhist yoga teachers, Kabbalah, all kinds of different spiritual traditions. And then maybe your class is just known as a good asana class, but every time you chant mantras at the very beginning or the very end of the class. Now, some people won't come and they'll think, I don't really care for that. But lots of other people will gravitate to the, oh, I love the singing that you do. I love that. Or maybe you're really into Sanskrit and you teach the people the Sanskrit stuff. Or maybe you're into meditation and you teach people meditation as part of it. Or reading scripture like we talked about. Lightheartedness, naturally joyous and non-judgmental. You know, that's the best attitude to have. You could teach chakra yoga. Start to research the chakras. That's what Terry Cooper did of 305 Yoga, or Yoga Gangsters. 305 Gangsters. 305 Yoga.
Spiritual Gangsters.
Spiritual. No, that's not her group.
No?
Spiritual Gangsters is not
I
her.
heard yoga.
Yoga Gangsters. Like hers is Yoga
Something
Gangsters.
gangsters.
Not
Yoga.
Spiritual Gangsters. It's Yoga Gangsters though. Her group is not the Spiritual Gangsters.
I feel like chakra yoga would be easier to teach because it kind of helps you bridge the.
She got into, there's a woman named Carolyn Mace. It's pronounced Mace, but her name is spelled M-Y-S-S. And she's what's called a diagnostic intuitive, or intuitive diagnostician. Have you ever heard of her? New Agey, definitely, but a chakra, master of the chakras. And so she knows energy, she can read your energy. She's just like, you know, the reason you have breast cancer is because you didn't forgive your mom when she spanked you with the back of that brush when you were 6 years old. And you're like, Mom, I love you, Mom, sorry. You know, so she nails it every time. She was working, her name's Carolyn Mace, M-Y-S-S. Lots of stuff on YouTube. She's not a yoga person, she's a new agey person. But she's intuitive, and she was worked with a doctor, an MD, in diagnosing, and she was 90% accurate. And medical science is only like 68% accurate. Like she was more accurate than the scientific method.
Or like doing diagnosing people with cancer.
Diagnosing people with cancer, she can see masses in your body. You know, she can.
What's her name?
Her name's M-Y-S-S, Carolyn Mice.
Where is she based out of?
I think she's based out of St. Louis. But the thing was, she quit doing it as a profession and started only teaching it and teaching the chakras, because she found that people were coming up who were not really interested in healing. They were like, they're like, what's wrong with me? Tell me what's wrong with me. Can you see inside my body? You know, they were kind of like challenging it, and she was like, no, that's not why I got into this, to prove myself every single time I get in front of an audience, like, you know, to have naysayers. I want to be with the believers and teach them how to do it for themselves and for other people. So that's chakra yoga. There's tons of integration of dance and martial arts now. You guys know martial arts yoga, Budokan, Tai Chi yoga. There's dance yoga, where people spontaneously put dancing in the middle of it.
Karaoke yoga.
I like
Karaoke yoga.
Jen's coming to
karaoke yoga.
in November. Yeah.
You sing
Jen
more with
has my friend. She covers around doing karaoke yoga. It's like a writer's workshop too. It's pretty cool.
How does it work for you?
You it's like 2.5 hours, and you're just on your mat, and in your poses, you're singing like, oh, halfway there.
A girl that came and did that.
Right, you're dripping sweat, you're like writing, and
Who did that?
Jen Pastelov.
Yeah, she came here.
She's coming back, but she's gonna be in a studio in like South Miami.
Yeah, she came here and did that. It is kind of fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's commercial.
It is kind of fun. You're encouraged to like sing in the poses and stuff like that, and it's fun. It is fun.
Yeah, you're laughing.
Huh?
Sometimes
You're
too,
when you're like trying to do the
You're not breathing anymore. Yeah, you're not breathing anymore. But it's fun. It is
Maybe
fun.
for kids, like.
Yeah, it's good for adults too. It's good for you. It gets you out of your head.
Yeah.
All right, so number 4 is professionalism. Stand up tall, project your voice, be confident, know that you're a yoga teacher, walk around the room, be clean, smell good, dress appropriately, arrive and start on time, end on time, focus on yoga, not your own personal issues, plan and prepare your sequences, change your routines, add variations, expand on what's already been mastered. Knowledge, number 5, keep learning, learn new things, study scripture, mythology, New Age, philosophy, psychology, comparative religion, non-dualism, Buddhism, atheism, study anatomy, health, nutrition, alignment, Ayurveda, body. And then also take workshops and seminars and attend conferences. So get better at alignment, understand, watch other master teachers and write down what they do and use it yourself. So expand your knowledge base. Inspiration, provide a physical challenge in the class. People like this a lot. I noticed that when I started to call out forearm stand, people came back in the class again and again trying to get the forearm stand. That was a big, like, I want to get this pose. And it helped me retain those people. So you could, I also throw down the breathing challenge almost every class. Learn to breathe through this entire class. Inhale, nose, exhale, nose. Learn that. When you can breathe through this entire class, inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your nose, a major physical transformation has happened in your anatomy where you permanently slow down your brainwave frequencies, you're calmer permanently to change. So people hear that and they're like, okay, I gotta learn how to do that. I gotta keep coming back. So you're basically throwing down a challenge that makes people want to come back.
They're like ready to.
Yeah. Or also, you can do it within a class. You can have a challenge within you can say, okay, hold this pose for exactly 10 more breaths and don't come out of it till the 10th exhale. And then that puts people right in that challenge. Or let's do 20 push-ups. Oh, that's a challenge. So, provide a mental, psychological, or meditative challenge. Don't judge your body or your performance. Accept things the way they are. Those are mental challenges, meditative challenges. Let go of something that happened during the day. Change your attitude towards something. Inspiration. In terms of inspiring messages, the go-to one is gratitude. Always default down to gratitude. What does it mean to feel grateful for something? How does gratitude feel? Try and describe other words for... Have you guys ever felt gratitude?
Mm-hmm.
So try to describe what that feels like.
Loving.
Definitely love.
Beaming.
Beaming.
Feel empty, but like a good empty, you know?
Yeah, do you have any expectations of somebody when you're in gratitude?
Mm-hmm.
You're completely letting everything off the hook. Like everything is fine just the way it is for that moment, right?
Nothing else matters.
Nothing else really matters in that moment.
No.
Yeah, and you don't have any expectation of the world or other people anymore. So I tried to define it one time and I was like, okay, it's basically gratitude is a feeling of what was I? Oh God, I forgot it. I think we were defining love. We were defining the feeling of love, which is also a very difficult word to describe. How does it feel when you're in love? And I would say it's a feeling of gratitude with no expectations. Love. Feeling of gratitude with no expectations. So, stuff like that. All right, number 7 of the 8 limbs here, street savvy. We're going to have a talk on this, which is how to do the business of teaching yoga. Market yourself. Starting an email list isn't as big now as having your own Facebook page.
Ooh, email list is so big.
Email's big, but it used to be more you needed your own website and you needed your own list. And now it's almost done through Facebook, isn't it? Social media, Facebook, it's all Twitter, it's all...
We can debate about this. It depends on what kind of teacher you want to be.
Yeah.
If you want to be a U.S. teacher and travel on tour, you definitely need email. If you want to be like a local teacher and just do like classes here, then I would say like a page where you update. But like if you want to do workshops and retreats and
You're going to need your own website and your own email list.
Well,
for
it's
sure.
an online world.
Right,
Yeah, and
it
you
is.
and that's valuable. You can make so much money like just by having, let's say, a couple thousand email addresses. You can get endorsed by like Tiki Pants. And
Right.
they're like, great, can we send an email out to your
group.
your group and we'll send you 10 pants and they're like a wardrobe for the next year.
Right.
Yeah, so it's very valuable.
It is an
for
online world, no doubt it is. So you're going to have some level of online presence. I don't have to debate it. I don't really know much about it. I have a website. I'm terrible at that. I'm horrible at
You
it.
have a website?
Yeah, MiamiBeachPowerYoga.com. So, I haven't changed it for like 4 years.
How did Power Yoga start here in Miami?
It started, it came up at basically, Power Yoga started everywhere. From Brian Kest, he was starting it in Santa Monica. He derived it from Ashtanga.
From Ashtanga.
And it's a good name. Power Yoga is a good name. It is. People like it. People know what it is. Vinyasa Yoga is the same synonymous as Power Yoga. Maybe a little more traditional sounding. Some people don't like Sanskrit names like Vinyasa, so Power Yoga resonates a little bit more with them. And I think it was good at the time because sometimes coming out of the 80s, yoga might have been like, okay, let's do some yoga, man. We're going to meditate. We're going to, burn some incense and chill out, But Power Yoga, you feel like you're going to get a workout. It kind of is physical challenge.
Were you one of the main starters here in Miami?
In Miami, I would say I am, but I learned from him.
From Brian?
Yeah. And I just took Miami Beach Power Yoga. His thing is Santa Monica Power Yoga. That's his brand. Santa Monica Power
So,
Yoga.
Paul, let's say they asked us, like, in Sanskrit words, what are we getting certified? It's Vinyasa.
Vinyasa Yoga. Vinyasa Yoga.
Right? Because some people may say, yeah, power, but...
No, use Vinyasa Yoga. It's the biggest growing branch of yoga. Power Yoga is not like growing. It's a little bit of a brand associated with like a Brian Kess. But since I was with him, and I came here, and that website was available, I thought that was a good name. And my classes, I kind of modeled them after his, I don't know, you can name your brand a Sanskrit name, but what if I called my brand Jnana Yoga?
No one's gonna know.
No one really knows what that means and stuff, so I just put Power Yoga, because I was just trying to attract students to come to my class so I could make a living at it. Huh?
If you say Yama Yoga, I would think of
Ayama Yoga?
Yeah.
That's Mano's brand. I mean, it's fine. Lots of people name Sanskrit. But I heard something horrible, though. I shouldn't even tell you guys.
Yeah, tell us.
You guys do it. It's gross.
You have to
Oh,
know
what?
this now.
Oh, what?
Well, you know Bala Vinyasa Yoga?
What?
Bala Vinyasa Yoga? Have you heard of that studio, Bala Vinyasa Yoga? It's the one that Green Monkey's merging with.
No, I was gonna say,
They-
isn't that their training with them?
What's that?
Isn't the training?
They do a
more
training
Bible?
with Bala Vinyasa.
Green Monkey's merging with another.
Green Monkey kind of merged, not so much, but they're trying to do something together. So anyway, and the people that own Bala Vinyasa are so great. They're great. But sometimes they abbreviate it down to BV. Bala Vinyasa Yoga, BV. But my wife is a doctor.
Okay.
And do you know what BV stands for in the medical industry?
Body something.
Bacterial vaginas.
That's bacterial vaginitis.
Gross.
That's so gross. She's like, you know what BV stands for? I'm like, so you gotta watch out. It's almost like naming your studio, like VD. VD Yoga. VD. You don't want to go to a studio that's known as venereal disease yoga. Anyway. So just beware of the connotations of the words that you use, So we'll talk more about Street Savvy. You're going to have a yoga resume. You can join the Yoga Alliance at the end. You can buy a little bit of insurance. All this stuff will make you look more professional and established as a yoga instructor. You can do that right after you graduate. And then number 8 is just love. Basically, you have to love yoga. If you're going to be successful as a yoga teacher, it's not, you can make more money in other fields. Not that you can't make a living, but you got to love yoga. You got to be into it because you just love it. And you guys are. That's why you joined the teacher training. You guys have that. All right, where did we get to here? That was a lot. Let's keep going, though. You got to open to page 19 now. Take one and pass it down. Replace this page with the current page of 19. You're okay. You don't need it.
I'm fine.
Okay, you're fine. Some people's page 19 is okay, but some people the whole left side was blocked out. Did you guys get that? If yours is broken, take one of the new ones. If it's not, you can just leave it.
I'm fine.
I'll take it. All right, so here's how I handle the Sanskrit. It's basic Sanskrit vocabulary. Like I told you, Sanskrit is a language. It can be a spoken language. It can be a written language. Have you guys seen the writing, the symbols, the characters
Yeah,
of Sanskrit? It's beautiful, isn't
I
it?
have a Sanskrit tattoo.
Yeah, people tattoo it. It's really beautiful. That's called Devanagari. Devanagari. That's the characters of the letters. It's different. They don't have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You know, it's not like Latin based. The Sanskrit, you really want to get into it. The vowel sounds and the consonant sounds require that you put your tongue in a certain place in your mouth, which stimulates acupressure points, which supposedly activate the glands of the brain, pituitary, the pineal. So you say, na-na. And your tongue touches the upper palate or something like that. So that's called, and they say, so the pronunciation of Sanskrit mandates asana practice with your tongue in your mouth. And there's alignment. That was too much for me. That was further than I ever needed to go. If God requires that you have to pronounce words in a certain way to connect, I'm going to be out of heaven forever. You know, I'm not going to be able to do that. But fortunately, God doesn't require that. It's just for people who really want to get into a different language and do it right. And I don't want to denigrate that. That's a beautiful path, but it's just one path. Don't let anybody tell you that if you don't know Sanskrit, you're not doing yoga. That's not true. So let's run through this list. So go, Vanessa, start and read the first word and read the Sanskrit and the English, and then everybody just go down the row and read one.
Downward.
As in what?
Downward dog.
Downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. No, just keep going. Go.
Anga, limb.
As in what?
Ashtanga.
Ashtanga. Limb. 8 limbs.
Ardha, half.
As in what? Ardha Chandrasana, half moon.
Asana, pose, posture.
Or seat. You can also write that in if you have it technically means seat. Pose, posture, position, or seat. As in all the asanas. As in asana yoga. Basically, shouldn't every yoga studio be categorized as an asana yoga studio?
Yeah.
They really should. But we just call them yoga studios. And they're all basically looking at Raja Yoga, Patanjali Yoga. They're not into Bhakti Yoga necessarily. Maybe they might be, or Karma Yoga, or Jnana Yoga. They're all asana studios. All right, keep going.
Baba, father. Bana, bound.
As in what pose?
Baddha
Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose.
Bhujanga.
As in what? Bhujanga. That's just a fun word to say, right, Emily?
Yeah, you want me to say it again?
Yeah.
Bhujanga.
Bhujanga, baby. As in what?
Cobra.
Bhujangasana.
Bhujangasana.
Bhujangasana is a cobra asana.
Bhakti, devotion.
As in what? Bhakti yoga, devotional yoga. Yeah. Half.
Danda, staff, stick, or
As in what? Dandasana, staff pose. You guys know what that one is? That's this one.
Oh, okay.
Dhanura, a bow.
Or also, do you guys know what Chaturanga Dandasana is?
No.
Chaturanga Dandasana. So
4 limbs.
4 limb
Down.
staff or stick pose. So that's like lower push-up. Bottom of the push-up, Chaturanga. Usually people just say Chaturanga, which means 4 limb.
So Chaturanga Dandasana is what?
Chaturanga Dandasana
Is
is
when you're-
this.
Oh
You
my
know?
God.
That's
So
Chat-
what's chaturanga?
That's the same. That's the same. They're just abbreviating it and not putting the Dandasana on the end, but that's Chaturanga as well.
Okay.
That's Chaturanga or Chaturanga Dandasana.
Okay.
Chandra Moon.
Chandra moon as in Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Chandra is moon. Go.
Chakra.
Chakra. Wheel. You have to say this in English.
Oh, sorry, wheel.
Yeah.
Garuda, the eagle deity of Indian mythology.
It's an eagle deity.
Go, cow.
Guru, one who leads from darkness into light.
Hala, cloud.
Hasta, hand.
As in what pose? Can you think of any pose that starts with hasta or asta? Huh? Astasana. Padhastasana.
What is that?
Asta Padangustasana. Hand. It means hand.
Is this Padhastasana?
Yeah, that's hand on the foot pose. That's Asta Padangustasana. Hand on the big toe pose. Wait a second, back up to plow. Halasana. You guys know halasana?
Yeah.
Plow, halasana. You guys know that pose?
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Ida, left nadi.
Okay, we talked about that, right? The left nadi, remember this thing that I showed you guys? The left side is the Ida nadi, the left nerve. And as opposed to the right, what's the right called? The P. Pingala. It's not on the final exam, so don't.
Janu, knee.
Janu is knee, as in which pose? Janu Shastasana.
Japa, repetition of mantra chanting.
Japa is repeating mantra. Japa yoga.
G, suffix denoting respect, reverence.
So if somebody was called Babaji, what would that mean?
Like talking about their father.
Respectful father.
Kapota, pigeon.
Pigeon. Kapotasana. Kapotasana.
That's what pigeon is called?
Yeah,
Kapotasana?
Kapotasana, yeah. Actually, they call it Eka Pada Raja Kapotasana. Eka, one, Pada, foot, Raja, royal, one-footed royal king pigeon.
Like what?
Raya.
Karna, ears.
Ankle.
Yeah, Kona. Keep going. Whose turn is it for Kona?
Oh, Kona, angle.
As in what?
Side angle. Trikonasana.
What's side angle pose? What is it? It's a very common one. You guys do it all the time. Side angle pose. Side means what? We haven't gotten there yet. Parsva.
Parsva Trikonasana.
Parsva Konasana. That's this.
Okay.
This is Parsva Konasana.
Oh, and Parsva means what?
Parsva means side or side.
If you don't use these words often, you'll forget them too.
Yeah, you do, but then you just remember it all over again. And like I said, you only have to do 7 for the final exam, so it's not like you have to know the whole Sanskrit. But you can see, by going through this, do you see how the words are put together?
Yeah.
I mean, do you see how it's done? I mean,
And everything has asana at the end.
they're all with A's. Just like be in Spanish. If you speak Spanish, just put an A on the end of everything.
Ado asana.
That's kind of Sanskrit too.
And then Spanish is
Italian,
called,
there's
like,
not an egg on
yeah.
Huh?
Oh, Spanish is O at the end, right? It's
Oh,
O's
or
not
A.
U and
Ado.
All right, keep going. Let's try and make it through.
Kriya. Purification technique or practice.
Do you guys remember what I taught you what the Kriyas were? What are the examples of the Kriyas? Purification stuff.
like the crazy stuff?
The crazy stuff, like swallowing the gauze and pulling it back up and pouring the water in one nostril and coming out the other. And, you know,
Is one of them too.
what is it?
When you stare at the candlelight. so
We're
your
going to
eyes
stare at
water,
the candlelight, yeah. We're
but
going to do
your
that
eyes are
today.
supposed to water.
Yeah, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
We got that. That's a practice we're going to do today. All right, let's keep rolling. We got stuff to get through. Kundalini. Kundalini. The Kundalini, it's a fiery snake that's dormant at the base of the spine.
All right.
Makes it sound enticing, right?
Yeah.
Kurma, tortoise.
As in Kurmasana.
What is
What's
that?
that?
Kurmasana is where you do the straddle and you put your arms underneath
Oh,
here.
yeah.
I like that one.
That's a Ashtanga, famous Ashtanga pose. We never call that out power yoga. Does any teachers ever call that out? Amy maybe. Amy's Ashtanga, so Amy would probably call it. Yeah.
Maha, break all at once.
Maha. So, if somebody said their name was Maharaji, Maha means what?
Great.
Raja means what? King or royal path from Raja Yoga. And G at the end means what?
Respect.
Respected. So they're the,
G would be respect.
G, J-I.
I was like, a G?
No, J-I.
Okay. That's.
He's a G.
Romy G.
Romy G, that's right, Romy.
Romina G. All right, so that's where you see these names. So have you heard of Maharaji?
Yeah.
Maha, great, Raja, royal or kingly, G, one worthy of respect. So they just put those together to make it. Baba Maharaji, that's the father of the great king of who's worthy of respect. So that's even more. You can always trump, you can always trump one with putting an extra G on the end of it, or GG. Oh, then there's a prefix we're coming to with Shri. Have you heard of Shri?
Yeah.
Shri Baba Maharaji. And then they trump that one with another word, Shri Baba. Sometimes they put 3 Shris in there. It's just, it doesn't, these are just names that are spiritual names from Sanskrit that gurus get named. I like to have fun with it because sometimes Americans rename themselves with these names and it's always kind of comical.
I have this friend that she did teacher training, but for Florida,
And she got a spiritual name at the whole end, and it was like goddess of goddesses.
Right.
You know?
That really pumps up the ego,
The almighty one. You shall now call me.
Yeah.
It contradicts with the practice of
In a way it does. In a way it does. It does. It can have a reverse effect.
Is that why the guy who plays the drums, his name is Dharma? Like that's his spiritual name, or is that for real his name?
Well, you don't know. Because maybe his parents named him Dharma.
It's a cool name.
Dharma, you know what Dharma means? Dharma is more of a Buddhist word.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it means?
Dharma yoga.
good karma.
Dharma means like your karma of a lifetime, like your work of a lifetime, your purpose in life. Your dharma is your work or your purpose of life. It's a beautiful word. It is. It's a cool name.
Dharma yoga is kind of cultish though. Like that old guy with his book.
Which old guy?
I forget his name, but I almost got sucked in. I am so cult prone. I do not know why my whole life.
Dharma
cult
yoga?
trying to get me. Dharma yoga.
The one in Coconut Grove?
No, it was in New Jersey, and that's how I got into yoga initially. One of my girlfriends was like, saw me check in. She's like, no, girl, come here, let's go to Queens. I'll teach you a real yoga class. And they were sucking me in. She's like, the old guy, and then you wrote a book. Were they trying to get you? And I was like, yeah, they were trying to get me to go to this thing.
That's a little cultish, huh?
Yeah.
The old gurus like to prey on the young girls. All right, keep going.
Mala, meditation beads.
You guys know what a mala is?
Yeah.
She's selling them right up there. You guys wearing them? Who's got their mala on? Yeah. Do you know the purpose of the mala?
You chant on them, each bead.
So how many beads are on that string?
108.
108. So that has to have that.
And the smallest are like, what, 26?
This is the marker if you reach 108, and then you count. You don't use this finger because it symbolizes your ego, your identity, and you just repeat counting like that. Repeat the chant.
But also you don't use your right hand because you wipe your ass with your right hand too. That's true.
I heard that one, yeah.
You have to do left hand.
I forgot
because you
about
wipe
that
your
because I do it with my right.
butt. You do?
I do it with my right. I do do it with my right.
So the mala is not just like we've made it in our culture like spiritual accessorization, you know. It's actually a meditation tool, and it has 108 beads. So if your guru says, I need you to do, 5,000 repetitions, you can count how many repetitions you're doing by going around the circle. And every time you do 108, you feel the tassel go by. So you know that's 108. Then you can put one finger like that, then go around again, then you put two. Then if you get 5 fingers, you know I've done 540 repetitions.
108 mantras.
108 mantras, 5 times, you know, however many times.
You also manifest things, you know, with your thought and with your words. So it's cool because you can pick whichever mantra you want. It could be a mantra to a planet, a mantra to, like the one you first taught us. That's a good one. You know, you just pick whatever it is you want to flow with, and pick that one and just chant with it for like a month, however long you want to sit with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Really cool.
It's like Christian's rosary.
What?
It's a rosary, yeah.
It's like Christian's rosary. It's very much like that. Very much like that. All right, what else?
In the Catholic, it's not.
But only better.
Wear it.
Way better.
You can wear
Only
it.
a few
A
people.
rosary,
Pocket.
a rosary, a lot of people
Yeah,
wear
you're
a
supposed to
rosary.
put it in your pocket.
It's like this considered disrespectful. to wear it.
Really? To wear it?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Rosary bead?
Rosary?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
I
supposed to
don't
put it in
know,
your
is
pocket.
it disrespectful?
Hey, that's why I had that 7 years of bad luck. Well, all of these things belong to traditions of rules and rituals and stuff like that. So this is just the yoga version of that. All right, what else we got? What other words are in there?
Oh, mantra.
Mantra, sound vibration. Mukha, as in Adho Mukha Svanasana. Adho, downward, Mukha, face. Svana is dog. Downward facing dog. All right, keep going.
Mudra, ceiling, hand position.
I don't go too much into mudras. You'll probably learn some of it in Kundalini Yoga, but this is like a mudra. Yeah, mudra, Chin mudra.
What does that do?
It helps you breathe better.
But it's also good for digestive, depending on what the mantra is. Because some are good for alleviating depression, some are good for digestion.
All right, we can have a brief little discussion of mudras. So mudras is a ceiling hand position, so it has an energetic intention and supposedly a physical effect. Depending on which finger you use, the fingers in Vedic astrology correspond to different planets. The furthest one away being Pluto, you know, Venus, Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, blah, blah, blah. So,
Just
Pluto got voted off the island.
But it got voted back in.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
But anyway, so the planets, you know, astrologically have different symbols, right? They symbolize different things. So when your fingers symbolize the planet, by using the mudra of that, it has that effect or characteristic. You can just touch the pad to the pad. This is called passive, like this is Gyan Mudra with the index. This is passive for when you're just chilling in meditation. Or you could like kind of charge it underneath with a fingernail, like this. This is called active. This is for more of like a meditation where you're going someplace, you know, you're going to do something.
I don't know if it has worked subliminally with me, but it definitely now when I do the mudra while I'm breathing, it actually helps me focus more and I think I'm breathing better. For some reason.
It looks cool.
It looks cool. The mother of my
I feel like
son
I'm connecting. Like,
was a really, really, really good yoga teacher when she used to teach. And she would definitely emphasize, she was kind of goddess, and she would, you know, she'd be like, Parsva Konasana with Gyan Mudra, you know, she would have this. And then here too, you know, and she'd get the people. And it was cool. People liked it a lot. Something to do with your hands, and she'd explain the symbology of it and stuff like that. She was more into that. I will say, okay, whatever effect that this has, it's what I would call a subtle effect. So if you say, you know, touching this finger assists in your digestion. Well, does it assist in your digestion as much as drinking like half a gallon of warm lemon water? No, it doesn't. So if you have any problems with digestion, I would suggest going with a more direct approach. You know what I'm saying? I mean, instead of just going, I'm going to fix my colon here.
And it's a good believer.
Whatever this is, that's why I'm not a huge, you know, proponent of subtle effect of I know there is something, and it's part of the yoga tradition we're studying, and again, I don't want to denigrate it or whatever, but whatever positions you can do with your hands, you know,
Well, you know what?
if you say this one opens the chakras, well, I mean, let's do an experiment. I'll sit like this for an hour, and you do an hour worth of vinyasa class, and let's see whose chakras are really open. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think there's more direct ways to access some of the physical benefits rather than mudra. But it's cool. It's kind of cool. It's part of yoga. So, keep going. Marichi, as in Marichasana. You know all those? Those are from Ashtanga. Those are all these Marichasana.
A sage from Indian mythology.
Right?
Matsyendra,
Matsyendra,
Lord of the Fishes.
as in Matsendrasana.
Nerve.
Nadi means nerve. We talked about that.
Namaskar. Greetings. Salute.
Now, quote. Right?
Padagusta.
No, Padma. Think
Oh, Padma.
That's an important one. Have you guys heard that? Padmasana? You know the lotus pose? That's where you put one foot up and the other foot up. That's like the traditional goal of asana. To be able to sit in Padmasana comfortably. You know, they would sit like one and then two. And then, why is it important that you'd sit in Padmasana for meditation?
Because it keeps
Chakras are aligned, root grounded here, up here, all the other ones. Yes. Padmasana, they did somebody did an x-ray one time of somebody in Padmasana. These lower leg bones have to bend. You know, bones bend. Bones are not like, they bend. Wood bends too. You know wood bends. Remember, wood that bends won't break as easy. You know what I'm saying? Bones bend. So some people, because of tightness of their hips, when they go into these bones have to bend. That can put a lot of stress on the knee joint. So yeah, people who force Padmasana before they're really limber in their hips are risking knee injury.
That makes sense because I'm tighter in my left hip than my right, and after we did the Ashtanga weekend, I hurt my left knee, and it's still kind of sensitive when I do pigeons and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've pushed and stuff.
For me, the foot is the one that.
The
takes
top of the feet in
all the
Padmasana.
pressure.
People feel in
I
Padmasana
feel
at
like
the top
it's
of the
gonna
foot.
break or at any point.
Why? Why do you get tight right here in the top of the foot? First of all, is it a forward bend or a back bend that stretches it?
Back bend.
It's a back bend. This is part of the front of the body. So why would this part of the body be tight when you try and do stuff? You never do that. The only time you ever start to stretch it is when you go back like this, or go. You never do that. And some guys, we never sit like this their whole life. They never stretch that ever. So and then like Vanessa saying, then you're walking around like this, tightening it up all the time, never stretching it. So the top of the foot is a very common one for Padmasana. Definitely.
I stretch the top of the foot when I'm downward dog.
Yeah.
I'm kind of down like.
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, that
Where you
feels
go
good.
like,
Definitely. Oh yeah.
go like this too.
Those are great stretches of the top of the feet. Yeah, definitely. All right, keep going. Let's get through try and get through this list. Keep going.
Where are we?
We're on Parangusta. Thumb or toe. Minor one, but this is Utthita Asta Parangusta. So standing up. In Ashtanga, did you guys do this one? Yeah, to the side, standing up. Utthita, upward. Asta, hand. Parangustasana on the big toe pose. This is upward, standing up, hand on the big toe. Utthita Asta Parangustasana. What else? Whose turn is it even?
I think it's yours, but I'll read yours for you.
All right.
Parivrita?
Parivrita. That's an important word. When you hear Parivrita, what do you know that the pose is going to be?
Opposite.
A twist. It's going to be a twist. It should say twist right there. Reverse or revolve, but that's what it means. But Parivrita is the twist version of any pose. That's important. All right, keep going with Parsva.
Parsva, sideways.
As in Parsva Konasana, side angle pose.
Paschimottanasana,
Paschimottanasana,
posterior stretch back flex.
that's as in Paschimottanasana, that's this one.
Pila pressure, hugging, squeezing.
So there's a famous pose called Karna Pidasana. What's Karna Pidasana?
Ear pressure
Like
pose.
Ear
Plow.
squeezing, ear squeezing pose. So what pose is that?
When you're in plow, you just squeeze your.
When you're in plow and you bend your knees to each side of your head and you cover up your ears and you're like, can't hear you.
What's the benefit?
You know that pose?
I know.
It puts a lot of pressure on what part of your body?
Neck.
Your neck.
Killer.
A lot of pressure on your neck.
Is
What's
there
the
any
name?
benefit of
No, there's no benefit unless, if it doesn't hurt your neck whatsoever, then fine, go into it. But it's another one. It's not necessary. It's just kind of a flexible pose for some people who are really flexible in a
Yeah,
certain way.
Hunter
of their
got
neck.
mad at me because I wouldn't like go into it in Ashtanga, and I was like, it really hurts my neck.
Yeah, don't listen to them. You're smart to listen to your body.
stretch though, you can.
It's a good stretch. It's kind of cool. I used to do it when I was more limber and I was warmed up. It felt kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of cool. You hug your knees in. I mean, what yoga teachers would say the symbology is then you shut off the external noise and all you hear is the internal om. Right? That's the symbology.
Sometimes I shut my ears. Can you shut your ears? I cover my ears
Yeah.
when I before I go into Savasana.
Uh-huh.
I just want to tune everything out.
Right.
It's kind of good.
It is kind of cool. Yeah, it's kind of cool. There's nothing wrong with it. But aren't you kind of a little bit, if you're doing it with your knees in that plow pose, you might be doing weight bearing
Yeah.
out of neutral spine with your neck spine, with weight bearing and your neck spine that's not in neutral. You might be stealing a steya. You might be stealing from your neck to try and get some effect for your ears or something.
What's the name of the sun? I think it's sun. The
The pose we were just talking about.
What is it?
The
The
name of the
Sanskrit.
asana again? Yeah, the sun.
Karna Pidasana. Karna. Knees, or hugging the ears pose. Karna Pidasana. Okay, now we've got to, whose turn is it? Gabby? Pingala?
Pingala, right, nadi.
That's the right nerve, as opposed to the Ida. Always think of the Ida and the Pingala. So how do you remember which is right and which is left? Ida and Pingala. Ida has only 3 letters, so that's less letters, and left has fewer letters than right. So
Okay.
Pingala and right have more letters. Ida and left have fewer. Okay? All right, and then what do we have? Important word.
Prana, breathe, life force, vital energy.
Yeah.
Paul, I was going to ask you what's, because Kundalini, then because of the, of the definition, it confused me with prana. What's the difference?
Kundalini with prana.
I don't know why.
Prana is all this. All of this is infused with prana. Air, oxygen. This is a whole pranic field. The world is a grid that's held together by pranic fields. Kundalini, very specifically, is this certain energy that's supposedly in you right now, but it's dormant. It's not awake. It's asleep. And it's likened to a snake because it's coiled at the root chakra. And by doing yoga practices and spiritual practice, you're trying to elicit the Kundalini energy to come up the spine, which fires up the spine with a lot more energy and electromagnetic force. So prana is a bigger word for life force, and Kundalini is a specific energy at the base of the spine.
Is the Kundalini associated with, the formation of the DNA?
Yeah, it is.
In that the chakras are also associated with that. Yes, absolutely. The DNA spiraling. All right, keep going.
Prasarita. Spread out.
As in Prasarita Padatanasana. That's what's pada mean? What's pada? Foot. So this is the Prasarita Padatanasana. What does that mean? The foot spread apart pose, yeah. We know that one.
Sadhana, daily discipline.
You know that one too, right? Sadhana, daily discipline. Salabhasana. Salabhasana. That locust pose are all the ones where you lay on your stomach and you airplane your arms out to the side. Or superhero, or this one, you know, the killer elbow pose that I make you guys do. That's a version of Salabhasana. Also laying on the tummy and arms out to the side.
I don't know.
Yeah, Sarvangasana, which is the shoulder stand. People might think Sarvanga means shoulder. It's got that anga. So Sarvanga, it kind of means all limb, and anga means limb. It means all limbs up pose, I guess you could say.
Satsang, gathering together in truth.
Have you heard of that word, satsang? Satsang's like a spiritual meeting,
Sava, a corpse.
as in savasana.
Wait, can we go back to satsang?
Yes.
Can you give us an example?
Yes, an example of that would be, you know, Guru Maharaj came to Miami and gave satsang.
And that meant everyone getting together?
Yeah, he had a meeting and everybody, he sat here and everybody listened to him talk.
When Amma comes in town, it's the same thing, right?
That's a satsang, yeah, that's satsang.
So it couldn't
have a
just be
satsang?
like, it couldn't just be one of us doing it?
Generally speaking, it's kind of a word that's, I mean, you could, but you're gonna be talking about spiritual truths, the best that you know. So yeah, anybody could give satsang, but certain people know spiritual truth more than others, so somebody's satsang could be considered higher than another person's satsang or something.
So I host these things called truth circles where people can just like discuss their truth and it's safe there, is that like?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call that satsang. Satsang is more like a Hindu or a Sanskrit word where the guru talks to the following.
Okay.
Well, we said Sava, a corpse.
Sava, corpse. Setu.
Bridge.
Whose turn is it?
Wheeler.
Oh, how am I? Where?
Setu.
Setu. Oh, Setu, bridge.
Setu bridge. As in what?
Bridge.
Setu Bandhasana is bridge pose. Okay, then what do we have?
Shri.
Shri.
Prefix denoting worthy of divine reverence.
So G is the suffix, Shri is the prefix.
Shirsa, head.
Yeah. So if you have Janu Shirshasana, what does that mean?
Move to the head.
Knee to the head pose. That's that.
Sukha, happy, comfortable.
As in Sukhasana. This is Sukhasana. Easy pose. Easy pose. As opposed to, this is called Siddhasana, with the 1 foot up. And then this is Padmasana. The 1 foot up, it's called Siddhasana. Siddhasana, S-I-D. Siddhasana. What else? Supta. That's an important one. What does that mean?
Lying down.
Lying down. As in what pose?
Virasana.
Supta Virasana. You know what Supta Virasana is? This is Virasana, right? Vira is a version of hero pose. And then Supta is reclining, so that's
That's Supta what?
Supta Virasana.
Where else we use Supta?
This is Uttita Astapadagustasana. This is upward, hand on the big toe. This is Supta Astapadagustasana. Supta what? Supta Viparita Karani. Yeah, that would be the legs up the wall pose. That's when you put your legs up here. That's Supta. Laying on your back is Supta. Supta. You could say Supta Navasana. What would be Supta Navasana? The boat pose kind of reclined, like boat pose more like this. Supta Virasana maybe. A low boat pose, yeah, recline. Low. Like that.
Surya.
As in what?
Sun salutation.
Surya Namaskar. Sushumna.
Central nadi, silver cord.
So remember, you got the Ida and the Pingala going around the chakras like a figure eight, and then straight up and down the middle is the Sushumna.
Pingala?
The Sushumna, though, have you guys, I meant to tell you, I was looking on Endorf again this morning, reading another incredible one. And you got to go to the part of that website that says exceptional accounts, exceptional Endorfs. Okay, when you go on the website, always look for the ones that say exceptional, and that's where you're going to find a list of all of them.
That's where I go.
That's where I go. Just go to the exceptional accounts, because you don't want to hear a run-of-the-mill out of the body. Endorf, Near-Death Experience Research Foundation, Endorf. So what the yogis teach, you see, is that you have this up and down your spine, which we know, from science, is your spinal cord and your spine. That's the nerves run up and down. These openings in your spine hold the biggest nerves. It goes into the brain stem in the brain, where there's a lot of electromagnetic energy in your brain, up and down your spine, right? So isn't it natural to think that the most powerful nadi, that would be the energetic nerve of the body, would be this straight up and down polarity, right? It's just always there. It's like grounding down through the chakras and up and down. It's like a vertical polarity all the time. This is the silver cord. So I think when these people have these out-of-body experiences, your consciousness of what you are as consciousness exits the body through there, through the silver cord. That's what they say.
Is it like the spine of the chakras?
It's what?
The spine of the chakras?
The spine of the chakras. I mean, it's definitely, all the chakras are connected to the Sushumna. You don't see it. I mean, they do have minor chakras. There's like 782 minor chakras that run out to your pinky finger. There are. But the 7 main chakras are all running right up and down the Sushumna. They're attached to it. So you've got this up and down, and then you have this horizontal expression, which is the chakras. But the up and down vertical expression, the polarity, is the Sushumna. And that's where the main energy of your body is going up. And supposedly, this, in terms of the silver cord that's coming out of your head, it never left home up there in heaven or wherever. It's still connected. So when you leave your body, boom, you just shoot right out there, and the body is left lifeless, and you're free, and you're floating above. You're like, I'm good, everything's cool,
So when would a yoga teacher use that word? Because I've heard it before. But
Sushumna?
Yeah, when would they use that?
Maybe you could say Sushumna Kriya. In Kundalini Yoga, there was a Kriya, a purification exercise for the Sushumna. That is in Kundalini Yoga, Sushumna Kriya. It's the straight up and down. So basically, all yoga strengthens that. Look at all this cat-cow that we do, this vinyasa that we do. This is all working with the spine and the strengthening of the Sushumna. So
say if you're in mountain pose, can you say, so now not activate, but channel your Sushumna?
Yeah, but first you would say, stand with your feet solidly planted. And you'd try and say a few of the physical things first. Okay. And then you'd move it, and then you'd say, roll the shoulders back, tuck the chin in, ascend through the crown of the head, Sushumna Nadi. You just throw that word in there like that.
Okay. You wouldn't explain
it? You might. You can try to explain that too, but you might get into, if you're not eloquent, you might get into babbling and wasting words and stuff like that. It's just as effective to just, they'll know what it is,
And I have to, I would
the silver
say
cord,
nadi.
Sushumna Nadi.
Okay.
Yeah. So, that's how the yogis get out of their bodies. They get such a strong pulsation up and down there, such a strong electromagnetic charge that they can go out of their bodies in meditation, exiting through the crown of their head. No, I've never really felt much of any of that, no. So it's all just theory. To me, it's theory, but it's...
Not even with breathing exercises?
Not specifically where I said something like, oh, there's a silver cord, or I saw silver, or I exit out of the top of my head. Not anything like that. I've never really had an out-of-body experience, much. Have you guys ever had one? You're floating above your bedroom in the corner, you're like, there I am sleeping.
When I slept, when I had a dream.
I mean,
More
not
like a
like
nightmare.
naturally. Not like, yeah. Like if you take drugs.
Oh, if you take drugs, you kind of get there.
I haven't done it where I've seen myself, but like go on like a journey, absolutely.
Yeah. You've journeyed like that, right?
Yeah.
Like journeys.
It's definitely.
That's more, I would say that's more
Like
a
lucid
third
dreaming.
eye activation, you know, that's
Yeah.
more the third eye.
While you're meditating, you journey?
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can do shamanic
Oh,
journeying too. You can do shamanic journeying with the drum, power animals, go to the lower world, the upper world.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's keep cruising through. Svana, dog. Any questions there? Svanasana, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, Adho Mukha Svanasana, upward facing, downward facing dog.
Ta-da.
Ta-da! Mountain pose.
Tapas, teeth.
Tree cone, whose turn is it?
Triangle.
So you see the two words there? Tree always means what in Latin? Three. Kona means angle, so triangle.
Trikonasana.
Trikonasana, triangle. All right, keep
So
going.
basically you can use any word with asana at the end.
You do. That's see how they play that? Yeah, that's how they play it. Yeah, definitely. Urdhva. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. Or Urdhva Dhanurasana. Dhanurasana is the bow. So if Dhanurasana is the bow where you lay on your stomach and grab your feet back, what's the Urdhva Dhanurasana, the upward bow then?
Leaning upward.
Wheel. It's like when you put your hands on the floor, that's called the Urdhva Dhanurasana.
Utita.
Utthita, extended, like stretch way up, extend it, Utthita.
Ujjayi.
Ujjayi. We haven't talked about that for a long time, but that's,
That's Ujjayi, that's what you spell it. I always,
Pictured one J.
I picture two O's.
that's
Ujjayi.
Ujjayi. Keep
You
going.
said in the beginning you didn't really believe that Ujjayi was like that necessary, right?
Again, it's just like I told you today. My word for it is it's a subtle effect. If you breathe all the class going like this, I don't think the effect is that much different from breathing all through the class, just breathing through your nose.
It just reminds me when I don't hear the sound, it's like, uh-oh, I might have been holding my breath.
There's something to it, but again, it's not like the difference between breathing the whole class through your nose only, or breathing halfway through the class with exhale through your mouth, like that's a big effect. The effect of breathing through the whole class with your nose is going to be a noticeable effect on you. Whereas breathing the whole class, if you don't breathe the whole class, has anybody ever breathed the whole class?
I think maybe one.
Yeah.
The whole class Ujjayi.
Yeah.
And did you feel any different or better than you did at the end of another class?
I felt
That's why I
like-
say it's a subtle effect. It's hard to discern whether that's really important or not.
It just reminds me when I don't
It's the
hear
audible. There's some stuff going on. No, there's some stuff going on in Ujjayi. There it is. It's good. And people like it. Again, people can take it to the furthest extreme. I mean, I've heard yoga teachers who are like, Ujjayi breathing is yoga. If you're not doing it, you're not doing yoga. And I just don't
That's
buy
extreme.
that. I don't buy that at all.
Yeah.
It's extreme. Okay, keep going.
Upavista.
Upavista,
Seated.
seated. So this pose, the pose I mostly think of Upavista is this. What is this called?
Seated straddle.
Seated angle, they call it. Upavista Konasana. This is Upavista Konasana. And also this is also sometimes referred to as Upavista Konasana.
That's like a boat.
Upward angle pose, yeah. Or seated angle. Yeah, this is a version of boat pose too, definitely. There's, don't ever get too caught up in the Sanskrit names of the poses. Different traditions call poses different. Like in Bikram, you guys are not strong in Bikram, but who knows in Bikram yoga, what do they call this in Bikram yoga?
Triangle.
They call this triangle.
Oh, triangle.
They call this pose triangle pose in Bikram yoga. So it's Parsvakonasana is what we call it. Extended side angle. All right, keep right on going. We're almost done.
Ustra Kama.
Uttan, extended stretch.
Uttanasana. This is the pose Uttanasana. This is Uttanasana. Now, what's Utkatasana? That's this. This is Utkatasana. This is Uttanasana.
Utkata.
Yeah.
Powerful, mighty.
That's Utkatasana. That's chair pose, squat pose. Vira is a warrior. So you have Virasana. This is also kind of referred to as hero pose, Virasana, like this. But also the Virabhadrasana 1 and Virabhadrasana 2 are versions of hero pose. Vira, hero. Vriksa, tree, yoga, union or yoga. All right, and then the words in Sanskrit: Yekam, Dve, Trini, Chatvari, Pancha, Shat, Supta, Ashto, Nava, Dasa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Remember Patrick?
Yes.
Yekam, Dve, Trini, Chatvari, Pancha, Shat. Did he count like that? All he was doing is just saying 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how they count. That's how they do it in the Ashtanga. They just count. All right, pretty good. Got through it quite a bit there. Let's just quickly look at this meditation, then we'll do a meditation, and then I'll give you guys a break. Sequencing meditation. What page are we on? Sequencing meditation, 29 through 31. Okay. Now, again, we haven't meditated long periods of time in this course, but 29. But we can talk about meditation and what it's all about, and we'll do a little meditation right after this. We'll do a meditation. So, before teaching meditation, meditate yourself for 5 to 15 minutes to prepare and receive inspiration. That's called authenticity. If you want to teach meditation, what's the most important thing? You have to meditate. And that you can't say I'm a meditation teacher and never meditate. That's awful. That's awful. So, now, also, George Feuerstein is also erring on the wrong side. Did you see that thing that he said? He goes, somebody asked me to teach them meditation, and since I've never been initiated into teaching meditation, I said no. And they kept asking me, and I kept saying no. Is that correct either? Does somebody have to? No, he did. He's meditating his whole life, but no guru ever said, you can go teach meditation. You know, he was never initiated into teaching meditation. So he's being too traditional. He's being far too conservative. So don't be too aggressive and say that you teach meditation if you never meditate. But also, if somebody asks you 5 times to teach them meditation and you've been meditating, 30 years, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with teaching it? You don't have to have somebody outside of yourself say, you're now allowed to teach meditation. All of you are allowed to teach meditation starting with the moment you start to meditate. Wait a week. Try and make it through a sadhana of a week of meditating every day. Then you can start to teach meditation. And all you're doing is just teaching the people, you're just one step ahead of them. This idea that you have to master something in order to be a teacher of it is totally false. If the yoga world never would have progressed if we'd done that. If I had to master every asana before I taught it, how many yoga teachers would there be? Very few in the whole world. And they might not even be good teachers. They might have just been good practitioners of asana. Right? So The only thing about teaching something to be in integrity is you have to be doing it. You have to be in it, in the fire of it, in the experience of it. Authenticity. Okay, so basically, here's the secret to teaching meditation, and it's basically just a sequence. This is a sequence of teaching meditation. The first thing you do is you handle all the physical instructions. So, everybody come to a comfortable seated position. You can sit cross-legged on the floor, or you could sit on a chair with your feet flat on the floor. You can't sit on a chair with your legs crossed, though. Right? You can't meditate like this. Why? But I can be neutral with my spine. I can be symmetrical with my spine above my hips.
Is it going straight up vertical?
Yeah, it's just not symmetrical with the regard to the first chakra, I would say, and it's not symmetrical in regard to grounding the electromagnetic energy even through the legs. You have to be symmetrical.
But you could do it with your feet on the ground like that, right?
Sure. Yeah, you could.
People do it on benches.
You could do that. Yeah, you could meditate like that. So anyway, the first thing is for the first couple minutes, when you teach meditation, you're going to talk really slow. But the first thing you're going to start to say is, start to relax your shoulders, even as the crown of the head goes up. Close your eyes. Keep your lips sealed. Your spine comfortable but straight. Relax the hips. These are all physical. I'm just talking physical body. So after a little bit of that, then you branch into, start to become aware of your breathing. Long, slow, deep inhale. Then you pause. Exhale is slow. Slow, steady exhale through the nose. Breathe. Inhale nose. Exhale nose. Long, slow, and deep. You start to talk about breathing. So that's the next couple of minutes. Then, finally, you can start to say, now, observe your thoughts. Look at your thoughts, inner dialogue. Pause. Ask yourself, what part of you is aware? Fall in the space between the thoughts. I just wrote down some things on page 30. It's basically like a meditation to become aware.
Paul, I have a question.
Yeah.
It says here, chin and the nose parallel to the ground.
Yeah,
But-
that's a little, no, I never should say that anymore. All I was saying is this is the chin and this is the bridge of the nose. So this is about parallel to the ground. So don't have them too high up or too low down. You know, all I was saying, but this is not a good, that's not a good description. I don't use that anymore.
So it's not chin to the chest to activate these bandha? Which
Well, yeah, if you want to activate this bandha, chin to the chest, Jalandhara bandha, but is that neutral spine?
No.
Am I going to be able to do this for 2 hours? No. Probably not right off the bat. So for a certain effect, this is more, the bandha would be used for pranayama. Whereas meditation would be, you would let the energy go. You would let it go. Okay, so then you see the progression. Physical stuff first, breath awareness, then the attributes of the mind. Finally, page 31, silence. If you're going to sit in silence, it's good to tell the people how long the silence is going to last for. Now we're going to sit in silence for 5 minutes and set your timer 5 minutes. If you don't tell them how long, I think I told you this, right? If you don't tell them how long, then their mind starts to go in and just goes, how long are we going to sit here?
Yeah.
Is the teacher forget about us? You know, they can't really meditate anymore.
And it gives you like an internal clock. Like
Yeah. But you yourself have to set that timer and be trustworthy. Don't think, all right, now we're going to sit in silence for 5 minutes. And then you have monkey mind, and 30 seconds later you're like, coming out of the meditation. Nor should you be a bliss ninny who goes off into your own, oh, sorry, we meditated for 20 minutes. Sorry about it. Everybody's just like, really? You know, they'll be angry at you. So you have to be a trustworthy teacher. Tell them the time, keep the time, then they'll trust you. Finally, when you come out, you can bring them out through the heart. You can say, you know, may we be ever loving for these moments of silence and meditation that put us in touch with our true self. You know, something nice. You can say that. If you're in with a group of scientists, maybe you don't get all, you know,
Lovey-dovey.
lovey-dovey with it. But most people will like that kind of heart-centered. And then closing, it can be anything that you like. We're yoga people, so we usually close om, om, om. Most people in meditation will accept that. They know it's over, it's the end. That's it.
Even scientists.
Huh?
Even scientists?
No, I didn't never om. If I was teaching a corporate yoga class, I didn't never om.
Yeah.
I didn't think that nobody wants to feel foolish in their work environment. Some people might open their eyes and see somebody like really getting into it and be like, look at her over there. So
Yeah.
Judging like that. So
Paul, have you ever had the experience where you have like this really kick-ass class and like, oh, let's meditate. You meditate and then at the end everyone's like clapping really loud. It's like the first time you've heard noise in so long. It's like, that was a great job, Paul, right?
yeah.
And you're like,
I went to like a meditation workshop, not meditation weekend one time, which was very much about ascension and ascended masters and kind of like enlightenment, and working with like Saint Germain and working with the archangels and like, there was a lot of guided meditations around it was very new agey. And the guy that ran it said, after you channel these high vibrational energies, for everybody to break into applause, you're so open energetically, it's almost painful.
Yeah.
it's very painful.
And so he said, we just do like finger sprinkles. So just at the end, everybody would just go like this. And it's very new agey. It's super weird. We were just finger sprinkles, But if people are very sensitive, intuitive channels of high vibrational frequencies, for everybody to break into like that applause, it's a little
It's really
harsh on the energetic body. Yeah, I've heard
So
that too.
let's say you have a corporate group, how should you end?
You would just say, bring everybody up. Let's take a couple of deep breaths. We're lucky that we get to do yoga. May we, spread these good vibes and these blessings that we get in yoga to everyone we meet for the rest of the day.
Finger sprinkle.
Like that. No, not in the corporate yoga.
All the
That would be
scientists.
so cool.
All right, we're going to have to wait to do the meditation because I was going to have you stare at the candles, but I want to give you guys a break because you're going to do the handstand.
Yeah.
You're going to be, all right, Amy and Paula, so you guys are going to be doing a lot.
Also,